Hello! We've had a little bit of a break, but I'm back now and we're going to look at 10 more found footage horror movies, and this time they're chosen by you. So let's have a look. So the two most popular videos on my channel are about 10 horror found footage movies that you might have missed. And when I asked in those videos for people to recommend me more found footage movies to watch, you did not disappoint. And the comments were flooding with loads of really good suggestions. Some not great, but loads of really good ones. And since I've had a little bit of a break, I have been watching lots of movies, lots of TV series, and some of those found footage movies have made it onto this list. So if you recommended one of these, thank you very much. I really enjoyed them. Let's go. So first up we have Jerusalem with a big Z in the middle, and when I saw the title for this I thought, oh, zombies, but no, actually it's about a group of friends who go to Jerusalem, and it just so happens to be around the time that the apocalypse is starting. So we have lots of demonic action, we have sort of crazy military coming in. It's just a really extreme, quite high budget found footage movie. It kind of reminded me of As Above, So Below, and I really like this. I do enjoy sort of a good disaster movie, and there's some great scares in this as well. There's some sort of really creepy moments down in the depths of Jerusalem. The one thing I will say about movies like this is that if found footage movies look a little bit too shiny and a little bit too HD, it kind of takes me out of it for some reason. I want my found footage movies to be gritty and look like they were filmed on a potato. So it's something that I don't know why it gripes me, but it does. I still enjoyed this, but yeah, that's one thing that I take away from it, is that it looks a little bit too polished for me. So next up is a movie called The Inside. Now I watched this on Amazon Prime, and I've got to say I really, really liked this movie. It surprised me in so many ways. It's about a group of girls who are on a night out, and they find an abandoned building, a kind of a warehouse squat, and they decide that they're going to have some drinks in there. The party gets crashed by a sort of group of thugs, and they start to torment the girls, and it becomes quite clear that these girls are in danger. Now this scene I found quite disturbing and didn't know when it was going to stop, in the way that it just kept escalating, and I found it quite uncomfortable. Fortunately, it got to a certain point and then took a massive left turn, and all hell broke loose, and there was lots of other elements in play that weren't just men that are trying to attack you. And that's when it got interesting for me, and that's when I was in. I will say that this actually felt like quite a long movie, which for found footage films is quite rare, and instead of having the sort of really blunt, abrupt ending that found footage movies are known for, this one was quite dragged out, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was quite nice. It's not incredibly high budget. It does show that quite a few times when it sort of repeats sets a few times as well, but I actually found it really intense, and it pleasantly surprised me. So yeah, go and check out The Inside. It's quite good. So next up we have Unfriended Dark Web. Now these ones are quite famous, I guess, but I think a lot of people saw Unfriended, the first one, and either loved it or hated it, and so not many people saw the sequel. Now I think the sequel is far superior, and this one is all set on screen, so everything is to do with webcam, social media, things like that. This one is all about a guy who finds a laptop in a coffee shop, and he takes it home and joins a web chat with his friends, only to discover that the owner of the laptop is not only watching them, but wants his laptop back at any cost, and starts to basically terrorize all of the friends digitally and in the real world. And I found it incredibly intense, I've got to say. I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of this, and thought it was just incredibly well crafted. It takes a little bit to get used to the fact that it's all on a screen, and I would say if you're going to watch this, I would say probably try and watch it on a laptop screen, something like that, because it will feel like you're more involved, you're more in the sort of type of film it is. But yeah, check out Unfriended Dark Web. I was pleasantly surprised and really enjoyed it. Now we have a movie called MOM, or Mom, actually Mother of Monsters. It's a really crap title, but quite a good film. This one is all about a mother who has a son called Jacob, who she suspects might be a bit of a psychopath. He's showing some really disturbing tendencies, and is just not a very pleasant person. So she decides to set up multiple cameras around her house so that she can try and figure out what he's up to. And this one, I would say, the guy who plays Jacob occasionally is a little bit hammy in this. Some of the acting is a bit dicey, but the mother is great. And it just has some really wonderful scenes in it, some really good sort of tense scares. And yeah, it's just one of those movies that you kind of really get involved in because of the characters. And you just want to see what's going to happen and what he's going to do next. So if you can find this one, I found it on Amazon Prime, really enjoyed it. So Mother of Monsters, go and check it out. So now we have a movie called The Mortal Remains. I know that sounds like a young adult novel series, but stick with me on this one. It's a mockumentary style found footage movie, and this one is all about a sort of infamous filmmaker called Carl Atticus, and he is a sort of movie maker that made a very famous horror movie called The Mortal Remains, which is basically meant to be one of the most disturbing films ever, and it was banned and it could be haunted, and lots of filmmakers weigh in on where this footage is, how to find it, and what it's all about, including creators of the Blair Witch Project. As mockumentaries go, this is actually quite fun. It's done in such a way that after a while you do kind of start to believe some of these people, and you're just sucked into the story, because it seems like the people who have created it have watched so many of these kind of documentaries that they're very well versed in sort of how to craft a good documentary. So yeah, this one will definitely keep you guessing, and has some good mentions and sort of callbacks to different horrors as well. So yeah, The Mortal Remains, go and check it out. Next up, we have a movie called Mockingbird, and I've seen quite a few people say that nobody talks about this movie, so I'm going to chat about it. This one is all about three sets of strangers who get sent a video camera by an anonymous source, and they get told to film everything. Do not stop filming or you're going to die. I don't know how that works in terms of battery life, but we don't talk about those things, suspension of disbelief. So these groups of people start to film everything they do, including brushing their teeth, things like that. So all the people that have cameras start to get sent these different sort of tasks and things that they must do in order to survive and not be terrorized. And obviously they start to, one of them gets dressed up as a clown. That's one of his tasks. So if you're not into clowns, then maybe skip this one. But yeah, this one is quite surprising, actually. The ending might divide people as to whether it's quite cool or whether it's a bit cheesy. I really liked the ending. The whole thing as a whole, it was a really good setup, and it was a really great scene at the end as well. It just looked really stunning. But yeah, this is one that you won't forget for quite a long time. So yeah, thank you to everyone who recommended this one. Now we have a movie called Found Footage 3D. Now, as it suggests, it's basically about a group of filmmakers who are set out to make the first found footage 3D movie. This one is quite fun, actually. It's basically sort of focusing on the film crew who want to make this movie, and they're sort of very meta in their different things that they talk about. They talk about the found footage genre as a whole and how popular it's become, and they have lots of nods to different kinds of horrors as well. But things take a bit of a turn for the worst when the entity that they're trying to create in this film starts to terrorize them behind behind the scenes as well, which is quite fun. I will say that sometimes this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, and sometimes it has some really good scares in it as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun, really entertaining, and I don't know whether it was actually sort of released in a sort of 3D version. The version that I watched certainly wasn't, but yeah, go and check out Found Footage 3D. I thought it was really fun. So now we have a movie called The Den, and this is all about a young woman who basically is doing a study on sort of webcam users, and she creates a space called The Den, which is basically like chat roulette, and we all know how that ended. And people can sort of log in and talk to her, and she just spends all of her time just chatting and interacting with people and seeing why they've come to actually talk to her. She makes some really good connections on there, good friendships, meets some weird people on there as well, obviously, a la chat roulette, but also starts to get sort of embroiled in a group of people who are quite dangerous, and they start to come after different people that she's talking to and then come after her. It was quite a nice way of doing things, and again, a lot of this was done on screen as well, but not all of it. It's all sort of filmed in various places. I thought this was a really enjoyable, sort of well-crafted found footage movie, and yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, and you can watch it here for free on YouTube, so go and find it. Now we have a movie called Afflicted, and this is becoming one of my favourite found footage horror movies. I've watched it a few times now, and this one can be found on Shudder, and you can rent it on Amazon Prime as well. This is about a couple of friends who go to Paris, and they're just sort of filming all the different things that they do. However, one of them gets attacked and starts to be affected by something that's basically now inside his blood, and he starts to change a little bit. Now, as he starts to change, he starts to develop superhuman abilities, so sort of agility and super speed and super strength, and they start to test these. So it kind of feels a little bit like Chronicle, and it does have quite a decent budget for this as well. There's some pretty great special effects in this. I don't want to spoil any more about this, because the sort of origins and where it goes in the story is just definitely worth watching for yourself. But Afflicted, it's such a great movie. Go and find it. So before our final pick, I want to hear from you again. So are there any other found footage movies that you think I should be watching or covering? Obviously, make sure you pop them down in the comments. Thank you so much to everyone who's recommended me movies, not just on the found footage ones, but I've had some great sci-fi recommendations, some good horrors and some musicals, things like that. So it's kept me busy. As I mentioned before, I had a little bit of time off doing YouTube. I was just having a bit of a bad time with my mental health and just needed a bit of a break. My confidence wasn't sort of great at the time, so I just needed a bit of time off. But now we're back, and I want to start doing videos again more regularly. So if you have any suggestions of things that you want to talk about, any movies that you think I should be covering, make sure you pop them in the comments. And yeah, let's have a look at our final pick. But thank you for sticking with me, and thank you for your support. Obviously, make sure that you do all the subscribey things and likes and stuff, all the lovely YouTube things down below. So last but certainly not least, this is one of the scariest found footage movies I've ever seen. I'm not going to lie. This terrified me. This is called Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, and it was a little bit difficult to get hold of in the UK. I know it's released in other parts of the world, and that's how I had to get it, but it's definitely worth going to find it. It's so good. So this one, it has subtitles, and it's all about a group of people who are making a sort of haunted horror web series, and they're going into a sort of haunted asylum to live stream their findings, and they go in with a sort of group of people who are almost like civilians, and then they're all sort of camera kitted up, and they're all willing to sort of go to different places in the asylum and see what they find. Now, obviously, this doesn't sound like it's going to end well, and it doesn't. It feels very Grave Encounters at some points, and I'd say the beginning of the movie does take a little bit to get going, but it's quite nice that you get to know the characters a little bit, and you get to know how many people people are obviously probably going to meet their end. But I will say, stick with it. There are some amazing scares in this. It's very, very tense, and just very clever effects as well. I've got to say, just camera tricks, things like that. And yeah, watch it on the biggest screen you can with as many people as you can. Crank the sound up. Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. I loved it, but it scared the crap out of me. So go and check it out. So that's it. That's 10 more found footage horror movies for you to check out. And these ones were given to me by the lovely people of YouTube. So thank you so much for the recommendations. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And to all the new subscribers that I've had, even while I've been on a break, people have been discovering my videos, and it makes me so happy, especially to have people pop up in the comments when I'm not even making regular content. I know I've had a break, which means that the algorithm's probably going to kick me in the ass, but we're back now, and I'll probably try and do a video at least every couple of weeks, and bring you some more recommendations. So yeah, let's crack on and carry on with this journey. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.